Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Who knows? It's like 9 a.m., 9:30 over here. So, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday again. GM in the chat. Thinking about buying more Amazon at these prices. What's up, June? Oh, man. Was anybody else kind of like jonesing for the market to open this week? And we had like one sports game over the weekend that was worth watching, but we kind of knew it was going to happen. So congrats, Indiana fans. What's up? What's up, Chaser? Y- yep, for sure. Always on, I love them, man. So every Tuesday we do Technical Tuesday. Giselle in the house. Man, everybody hopping in. Glory, what's going on? Sam, yeah, June, we were off on last week. So every month, as long as the market's open on Mondays, I'll be here. So I think this week is going to be a little bit different. I will say I feels kind of like the market's toppy, but like I will say these bears have absolutely sucked lately. I mean, it's just like the bears are. I don't know. I was worried. I'm like, I don't know what to do for these thumbnails. So I ended up doing just like this taco theme, and I'm like, this is kind of lame, to be honest. But it is what it is. But welcome if you're new here every Monday, as long as the market's open. What we do is we kind of just review the last week, what happened, what's going on, what do we have to look forward to, and we kind of just plan the rest of the week. So this is what we're doing right now, Taco Tuesday for sure. And yes, we will have Miss Cleo this week. If you don't have if you're not in the server, I don't really know what to tell you. Get in the server. Miss Cleo shows up every week, no matter what. But yeah, it's been a bit of a wild ride, to say the least. Market has been very rippy. We have some signs of like maybe just hanging out for a little while to see what happens. But also, if you didn't know, this is when summer gets kind of weird. This a weird split screen here. I don't know about this. I don't know how I feel about this. But Mondays from here on out, so we're technically entering the summer months. You might have heard the phrase sell in May and go away. And, I don't really know if that's true. It has not worked. Sell in May and go away. It has not really worked the last, I don't know, 20 years. Where can you join the server, man? You'll be in the description. The very first link in the description is a link to the server. But this is what's going on. So last week, U.S. and EU raced for a trade deal. I think we got a 90-day pause a couple weeks or a week or so ago. And so now we have 6 weeks left until that truce expires. And they're going to race to get a trade deal. So this is kind of like the theme, right? So the taco theme in general. We've been saying this for a while. I've been saying this for a while. It's like, I don't really believe that anything from an equity perspective deserves necessarily to be in the trade war. We call it like the trade war zone from a price action perspective. And if the stock that you're looking at is even close to that trade war zone, I mean, like those are all going to qualify as a catch-up trade. And I get that the headlines, like trade headlines, do, what's the right word? Weigh heavy on the stock market near term. But at the end of the day, the market has discounted all of the tariff situation, the entire tariff situation for a very long time. Almost since Liberation Day, we priced that out again. And so like if the stocks are being held back, I don't know. I would assume that the near-term bottom is probably in regardless. It's just how far away from that bottom is the stock that you're looking at. And if it's getting hit overly hard by some trade war headlines, listen, there's a bid under the market where, just look at this first bullet point, right? Every time, we get a headline about tariffs, the market comes down just a little bit. So it weighs heavy on the market. But at the same time, it's like any type of deal that could happen, it's ripping the market a lot further to the upside than the tariff headlines are weighing it down to the downside. So net, I don't think any headlines on tariffs or anything like that is really gonna hit the market. It's just, I've been saying this for a while. That's all priced in. I think we're in a state of, let's say, definitely complacency, getting near towards euphoric here since we're towards the top of the range. But any pullback, and this is the issue, any pullback becomes basically buyable, which is why the bears have really sucked. If you haven't been in the market since the liberation day, every pullback has been bought, and it still seems to be the case at this moment. So that's where we are. There's a couple little headlines on the housing market. I think there was the least amount of sales last, I think it was a month in a very long time. Prices rose the least in the last 18 months. That's probably due to kind of like the interest rates and things like that. And there's a lot of talk in general about the Fed in their upcoming meeting. Are they going to raise rates, or are they going to lower rates or not? I don't even know how to do a poll in here. If I did, I probably would. But we can take a look at the CBOE Fed Watch tool today. This week, we do get something called the Beige Book. Does anybody know what the Beige Book is? Nobody knows. Not many people know, but it's like every Fed district kind of puts together their, for lack of a better term, kind of like business plan. And it's essentially like, what do they think that the economy needs for their specific district, right? What does their district really need? And the accumulation, the totality of that and all the reports is called the Beige Book. And so that comes out every time we have an FOMC meeting just beforehand, and we get that this week. So if you're looking at the probabilities for a rate cut on this coming FOMC meeting, it's really going to get hardened. I'd say like those will get locked down after that Beige Book comes out. I know some people are playing that actually on Hood. Is that Beige Book very old? No. Actually, the Beige Book's not super old. So it's basically what's going to happen in the next FOMC meeting ahead of time. It's live. Like Beige Book is pretty live data. There has been kind of like the signs of slowdown in the economy, and it's mostly the job market, and that's what has been kind of like, feeding all the people that are looking for a rate cut. I'm not actually in that camp. I don't necessarily see that he has to, and if he doesn't, he's got a free oopsie card because Trump's tariffs, right? And so that's kind of what's going on. I think Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan had a lot of commentary about possible cracks in the Fed in the bond market last week. And I do see that, right? So like I see it as there's definitely that possibility. Does he need to cut? No. Can the market come down? Absolutely, yes. And if it does come down, will it be a buying opportunity? Totally. Right. So like trade location here in terms of putting net new money to work, not the best. And you have to drill down into the individual equities, whether it's, catalyst driven or where they are from a trade location perspective. So it becomes a stock pickers market, I believe, for the summer and into that summer kind of doldrums, if you will. So we'll probably see volume taper off quite a bit from this month and next month. It doesn't mean that that the market needs to go down when volume kind of fades away. There's been, if you haven't heard the phrase never short a dull market, never short a dull market is exactly this kind of scenario. So roll with the price action, whatever it comes for this next 2 months, give or take. I think we have some seasonality charts. I'll pull it up in a little bit. But here's the rest of the kind of rhetoric, right? U.S. trade courts, you guys all saw it, blocked a wide swath of Trump tariffs. And then there was an appeal, and I think the appeal decided not to rule. So they pushed it back down to lower courts or something like that. But really, Trump is going to get his tariffs one way or the other. I'm in that camp for sure. So again, that puts the market in terms of like, we're looking forward to any tariff relief in general. And yes, while near-term headlines may weigh a little heavy on the market, any good news on the tariff front has been pushing the market significantly higher than any bad news. That's for sure. Gouldsby sees lower rates if tariffs fade away. So that's kind of the thing. Like, I don't know. I don't see them fading away. Again, why Powell may not have to cut, in my opinion. I do know that some people are very strong on that trade, but that's TLT. Like, I don't have an issue. If you're gonna own TLT, I think you own the stock and you sell a lot of covered calls. I think you sell a lot of covered calls. I don't think you do long-term options. Unless you're selling puts. But I think you do a lot of covered calls and you collect that dividend, man, because that could be a long drawn out trade. And it honestly, the upside is really not. It's not like it's like 10% maybe. But that said, Thursday we get initial jobless claims and continuing claims every week, and there has been a pretty significant trend in terms of new jobless claims continuing to climb and continuing claims staying high. So the labor market again still stays in the front, like in the forefront of the Fed's view, as well as PCE, which we did get last week. We also got a GDP view. This was a little funky. So GDP Q1 was 2.4 positive. This is I don't know who forecasts over there or who does these, but like this was wild. That came in negative 0.2%. Price index 3.7 versus 2.3 prior. Core price index 3.4 versus 2.6. So we are seeing a little bit of sticky inflation, nothing crazy. But that's what we have so far. In terms of seasonality, so this is what I was talking about. Sell in May and go away. This is 100 years of seasonal data. The last 20 years, May has been really good. Sometimes June is a little bit downside, which is again kind of like that trade location. But July is usually, I don't say usually, July a lot of times can be like a blow off top. So the 4th of July weekend, which is a month from now, 4th of July weekend is typically like a very bullish week. And the strongest of those stocks is very much Apple, actually. And I think we have WWDC coming soon. So I'm keeping an eye on Apple. That's kind of like an annual trade. Does it always work out? No, it doesn't have to. So anyway, so that's what we're looking at. We are actually a little bit further along, so possibly a little bit more chop to the upside, but again, we're very close to all-time highs. I would expect actually the market to kind of go sideways for a while. Still feels like a cloud market for sure, right? Like I was torn. Like, do you do the like the bears are in hibernation thumbnail this week or not? Yeah, we're pretty high. We'll see. What is this one? XAI launches 300 million share sale that values the group at 113 billion. I mean, there you go. XAI. I mean, for the win. This analyzer, Trump. Yeah, he will for sure. Right, for sure. Taco Monday. Sir Ant did a Google search. Summary commentary. Yeah, this is 2 weeks before the FOMC. So this is kind of like your preview, and we're gonna get that this week. The market does not react on the beige book typically, but it really kind of digests it. But so you guys know, it is actually what will kind of dictate those probabilities for sure. I haven't done this in a while, so just gonna do a quick earnings review. So this is a lot of data here, but so far with 23. Actually, sorry, I had NVDA missing for some reason. That's not right. So it's 24 beats, 3 misses, 1 meeting expectation. This is actually pretty decent earnings like quarter so far. This is the week ahead, and then I'm going to jump into Lux's Catalyst Watch in a second. But so this week, today we actually have a Powell speech. Does anybody know what time it is? The Powell speech, I believe, is very soon. It might be happening in about 30 minutes, something like that. Sounds about right. Ah! You guys didn't see that. You didn't see that. Tomorrow we have job openings. Then we have ISM services, and here's that beige book on Wednesday. Thursday, jobless claims, and then Friday is the big non-farm payroll day of the month, right? So remember, if you haven't attended any of those NFP webinars that we do, those free trainings, I mean, I strongly suggest stopping by for sure. That is the day that's going to set the tone really for the entire month. I think an easy way to explain it, probably the fastest and simplest way to explain it, is if you know what an opening range is on a stock, like if you're a day trader, you know what an opening range is. That's basically the opening range for the month, right? Every single month. And it's going to define really like your direction for the entire month. More often than not, this coming Friday is going to mark the high and or the low for the entire month. Very likely. So, so that's yeah. So he speaks in about 30 minutes. Perfect. So we'll try and be a little quick here so you guys can get to that. Earnings on deck, not a whole lot, right? So, I mean, Campbell's, CrowdStrike tomorrow after the close. A lot of talk about these dollar stores. We'll see what happens. Dollar Gen is the first. I don't know if we've had Dollar Tree or not, but Dollar Gen, Ollie's is another bargain kind of retailer. CrowdStrike for sure. HPE, HP is probably going to be dead flat, man. I might just sell a ton of option premium on that after seeing Dell do well, but kind of sell off. CrowdStrike's interesting. It's probably like your biggest mover here. Then Dollar Tree. Is there anything else? MongoDB, another major software name. They've had a rough few quarters, the last couple quarters actually. Five Below, another bargain retail. Charge by now. I'm not seeing anything. Tilly's. Does anybody trade Tilly's? Nobody trades Tilly's. Cracker Barrel. Good old Cracker Barrel. Yeah. A lot of retail. Oh, and then Broadcom after the close Thursday. So I'd say CrowdStrike, Mongo, Broadcom. Those are your three biggest movers for the week for sure. Everything else is kind of like, weird. I lost my on Rocket Lab. No. Yeah, it's a tax thing, man. That stuff is a bummer. It's very distracting when they change your cost basis. I just turned that off. I just turned that off completely. And yeah, SMCI popping, Dell dropping. I definitely hate to see that. I saw that Dell quarter. I was like, they raised guidance by like almost the same amount that that SMCI like pulled guidance. So I was like, did Dell actually get those deals? But the thing is that Dell is such a massive behemoth with an insanely wide moat that the market doesn't really understand how to value Dell, quite frankly, because the server business is like it's such a small piece of what they do, but they are the biggest in the industry. But yeah, it's nothing like SMCI, which is they have no moat and they only do servers, right? Dell is like they're so diversified as an enterprise company. I'm not familiar with Credo. Is Rubrik? When does Rubrik report? Oh yeah, Rubrik. I'm just telling you, this Rubrik should go into like solid enterprise companies like Palo Alto Networks. Rubrik and Palo Alto, honestly, for me, they go in the same kind of category. In terms of tech that just works forever, Palo Alto definitely a better addressable market, larger addressable market than Rubrik, but Rubrik in terms of what they do, best of breed by far, hands down, absolutely. CoreWeave, yeah. Well, what's the moat there is just data in general, right? Like data in general. CDW, I love the commentary. So CDW is just a reseller, so they make a very small percentage of net overall sales, but they'll sell Dell, they'll sell SMCI, they'll sell HPE, they'll sell all of it. Tech contractors. Yeah, contractors. So that contractors, they may mean services, which again, Dell has a massive services arm. There was yeah, DSG is Dell. I don't remember if DSG stood for Dell Software Group. Yeah, not services group. I forgot what the services arm was. Shoot, I should remember that too. Anyways, Dell's, I mean, just massive, right? Credo is networking solution. I should look into that. I don't know. When does Taco report? Is that Del Taco? Because I'm pretty sure that Jack in the Box is no Jack in the Box owned Del Taco and they're selling it. Is that how boring this market is right now? Because, like, honestly, guys, it's lunch hour. We're not going anywhere. But you know what's not boring? There's this one thing that we do every week that everybody loves. And since we didn't have it last week, I know that you guys are jonesing for her view. And so without further ado, let's roll it for Miss Cleo. Here we go. All right. Well, this is the T in TA, which obviously stands for tarot, and we get our weekly reading from Miss Cleo. If you weren't here last week, sorry, but here we go. This is the new. I've seen this a lot. So what we do, she gives us a theme card for the week that sits on top. Then we have a card for every single day of the week. I'm seeing some silver tones here, which, by the way, silver. Wow, silver has made a massive move. Dollar falling a bit. That's good for commodities. But so Hanging Man for the weekly theme. Not so sure what that's going to look like. Then we have today King of Swords. I don't even remember this card. What is that? 7 of Cups, 8 of Cups. Okay, he's kind of like walking on water, going out for a hike, just strolling. Nothing crazy happening there. Little Moon Man. I don't know. Then we have wands. 1, 2, 3, 4 wands. This looks like some people party in the background. Maybe we've conquered the castle. Oh, looks like a lot of riches. Now we're giving it away. Is that giving it away? 6 of Pentacles. Are we giving our money away? Is this like charity? I don't really know. I don't know if this is a good or a bad card. This is a touchy card because we're clearly giving money away. Does that mean we're accepting the money or we're actually giving it away? I don't know. So okay, what is that day? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then the Emperor. The Emperor, I think, is pretty lame. No offense. I think it's pretty choppy. Friday is NFP. I don't know. Thursday, if we rally. So the week before non-farm payrolls, by the way, typically very, very choppy, trendless trade because everybody's like, pause, like just wait for a second and look, like we're going to get new data that's going to reprice the market. All your technicals and all that stuff, honestly, they're going to be overwhelmed by this fundamental event on Friday. So let's see what she has to say. So anyway, so here's the week for the theme card of the week. Theme card is the Hangman. We've drawn this card 3 out of the last 4 weeks. The first one brought a rally, which didn't make any sense, right? Which, let's see what she says. The first one brought a rally to hang the bears. Okay. The second one sold off to hang the bulls. What does the third bring? I don't know, Miss Cleo. What my guess is that we go back to stagnation and chop. All right, so it hangs both of them. Perhaps even a bit of negativity. The daily cards are not very supportive of a bullish week. Well, so maybe we are giving away our money. Who knows? And we may be able to buy dips. We may be able to buy dips, though. Let's see what the daily cards have to say. Okay, so Monday, that's today. King of Swords. This card has been positive 90% of the time. Oh, positive for sure. Regardless of the setup, he is capable of cutting through major support or resistance and likes to ensure both sides are bloody. You know, it looked like a short out of the gate, and it was a short out of the gate, but if you didn't close that like immediately, yeah, you were bloody for sure. And then we're right back to the highs, but we haven't, we haven't gone anywhere, guys. we are, we've been at the same high all day. So maybe, I don't know. But the energy should be pretty easy to follow. Don't be surprised if a trend emerges. I don't have a trend here, so maybe, I mean, it would only be if we crack through this high in the back half of the day after the stream. We'll see. Maybe after JPAL. Tuesday, Taco Tuesday is the 8 of Cups. We can expect mean reversion and a possible trend with a hard bias towards, whoa, guys, a hard bias towards bearishness. Interesting. Jody, I don't know if buybacks are in place. I don't know yet. Hard bias. So this is she's calling for a straight up turnaround Tuesday. We'll see. If Monday is red, we get a trend green here. Yep. If Monday is green, we get a trend red here. Turnaround Tuesday. This should serve as a bit of a transition card. Okay. Well, take him down, she says. Take him down. I don't know. You know, sometimes she's good, sometimes she's not. Most of the time she does all right. Wednesday's a 4 of Wand. I call this the homecoming card, and it usually tests an important support level before bouncing and serving up a nice rally. Okay, so today we're green. She's saying we flip it sometime at the close or maybe tomorrow morning. And then that's it for a day. And then we retrace on Wednesday. Green Monday, red Tuesday could set up perfectly. Otherwise, I'm expecting gap down. Whoa. Gap down that gets bought, or initial open selling that does the same. Gets bought. Initial open selling that gets bought, possibly. If Trump bill, yeah, so this has been in the news a lot. If the Trump bill passes, this whole thing about taxing foreign investors intact, then that could be bad enough to drop. Yeah. Or, you know, bond market, any of that. Well, she's saying it's a green Monday. Am I right? I think it's great. Yeah. So, okay. No, we're like a 0% Monday. We've literally gone nowhere. I don't even, it's at least not a red Monday. It is a literal, we have literally gone nowhere. SPY is unchanged on the day. Wow. Crazy. Okay. Otherwise I'm expecting gap down. So Tuesday through Wednesday. Wednesday sounds like she wants to flip. Thursday is the 6 of Pentacles. This is the day before NFP. I don't know, Miss Cleo. Wouldn't be doing a whole lot the day before NFP. We are in position to give. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. When she can't make up her mind. Powell is live. Nice. We are in position to give or receive charity. Early green means we're going to give. Early red means we're going to receive. Basically, fade the morning and expect to rally for sure at some point. Okay, so early morning pop and then reverse. Worst case is likely a flat close. Flat close. I know Powell's live. I'm just, if he is live, that's fine. I'm not seeing any price action change. The Emperor, we should get a mean reversion here, but in the form of a choppy day. Fridays have been like that. They get everyone chasing and then kill option premium to close the week out. Structure should reign supreme. I wouldn't expect any crazy antics. So maybe a 2-day kind of balance, but Friday is kind of like reset across the board. Is then next week we'll see what's going to really happen. Hopefully. Recap, there's not a lot of continuity this week, but we do have plenty of trend days and some mean reversion funding. Okay. So turnaround Tuesday into Wednesday and then retrace a bit Wednesday. That's all we got, boys and girls. Let me just see if I have anything else here worth looking at. No, that's pretty much it for this one. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and go into Lux's Catalyst Watch for the week. So keeping that in mind, I guess Powell is live, and we'll just go ahead and read this, guys, see what we have. So today, there was a UNH shareholder meeting that should be live. I mean, Not really anything happening. I'm not watching it. It had a big gap up on UNH today, and then a little bit of a continuation, but turns into a double top, pulls it back, fills the gap. Now we'll see what happens. Powell speak here, and then Snowflake. Is there a Snowflake conference? I guess there's a Snowflake conference today. So there's a keynote at 8 p.m. tonight. Tomorrow, European Union CPI, JOLTS in the morning, another Snowflake keynote. So I guess we gotta watch. We gotta watch Bucky this week if they're doing their annual thing. Goolsby, he's gonna talk about tariffs or inflation. Yeah, a couple speakers. Earnings, Dollar Gen in the morning, Crowd, HPE in the PM. Wednesday, we get an ADP, non-farm payrolls. These are wildly different. They've been wildly different for years. But the market does move a little bit on this. Services PMI, remember we are a services-led economy, so that can move the market here. Crude inventories. This was interesting. I don't know if I didn't put this in there. No, I'm not streaming Powell Live. I don't. My stream is not set up for that. Crude. OPEC Plus had announced there was this headline last couple of weeks. OPEC Plus was going to increase supply, and it kind of got all the oil trades down in the rut. And then on the OPEC Plus meeting last night, they decided that we're not going to increase supply. So that ends up being really good for the oil trade if you haven't seen it. So that actually this week, assuming that the markets are hanging man kind of setup, crude trade location not the best anymore because it's right at the top of the box, but it may, at least the oil stocks should be on a big watch this week with this and that OPEC Plus news of them not increasing supply. That could actually get them to buck the trend a little bit here. Let's see, Thursday, a couple more Fed speakers, Broadcom, Lulu. Broadcom's a big one. Lulu after hours, okay. And then Friday, non-farm payrolls, that's the big one right here. I don't know if some people are watching trade balance or not. The jobless claims, trade balance, and then right into non-farm payroll, all of the non-farm payroll data. So you get all of this here. And that's it. That's it for the week. So we got a UNH investor meeting. We got a lot of Snowflake stuff, not necessarily on anyone's calendars, but that's why we do this. So if you're not following Lux, this is their Twitter handle. Make sure you give them a follow. What's up, Carl? But this is Lux. Every Sunday they post this watch list. It's a pretty good look for sure. All right, so just really quick, what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to bring a different view into focus really quick. This is actually my real first look. So SPY, Qs, diamonds. Just clean this up a little bit. SPY, Qs, diamonds, IWM. Right now I got the Dixie, watching a little Bitcoin, crude. I am in a silver trade. You may or may not know about that. I'm not even watching the VIX, but sure, we can put the VIX on. VIX sub 20 is going to be bullish in general. But this is where we are. This is all 30-minute charts. What we do, this is what I meant by trade location. 590 on SPY. This yellow line, this is a volume anchored point of control from the highs. We are literally sitting on it, 590. This is very likely just going to be where we're going to hit our heads for quite a while, I would assume. If I throw some non-farm payroll numbers on here. Yeah, this 588 is actually going to be the main pivot. Downside, I would say 578, just around this 200-day simple moving average. A weekly range, my goodness. This is just measured. So this is an average week's range in either direction. 615 brings us to all-time highs, or 560. That's huge. This 560 is the If we fill this session gap, this is the one to me that's just kind of like glaring. I would much rather take it long down here. We do have another weekend session gap that's also kind of like sitting here. We've been toying with this for a while, but again, very low volume pockets in this area. These are the two levels I would really watch. Honestly, 565, I see that on SPY, I'm going for it. It's been a while that we've been kind of like sitting up here. Again, this is the average weekly range. But what I would say is if you look at this kind of balance zone right here, we'll go ahead and take this from Monday the 12th. This is that box that we've been sitting. We've tried a couple times and we've gone sideways this entire time. How many weeks is this? 20 days, actually. A very sideways choppy action. So congrats to the Condor accounts if you have them. If you've been doing that, those are the only winners right now in general. But 20 days sideways, I'm not putting on any Condors right now. This, I think, is gearing up for a move. Whether or not it's upside or downside, who knows? If we do get that downside move here, then I think that sets you up much better for the upside move. In total, this is really not that big of a pullback that we're talking about. We're really just talking about pulling back and retesting this area right here from Liberation Day. That may or may not happen. Maybe that's not till September. Who knows? But this coming Friday is gonna really kind of mark that. So this, yes, is an average week's range, but no, I don't think that we're actually going to get fully into an average week's range sitting where we are. And if we do, it's probably going to be a lot of chop into that 610 area right over here that stock price can get kind of like stuck in for a while. And drink some water. Why is there no 1080p? Because it's a setting. I don't know if I can change it live. I never remember to change it. And I know it's a pain. It's a pain. Maybe we'll have to go to StreamYard at some point. This is the daily look here. Just a little weak, very kind of like toppy. So you have like one top, two top. We'll see if that pullback sets up for that kind of like 50-day retest. Again, much better trade location if you get it there. From a weekly perspective, last week we did have an inside week. This is the week before area. So at this point, what you want to do, and I'll take this down, is we will just kind of measure 50% of last week's range. That brings me to 585, spot 82. We did hold that this morning. As long as 583 and a half is holding from a daily perspective, which is right in here, then we actually can kind of assume upside. So 583 and a half would be kind of like my line in the sand. Anything lower than that, then we're probably going to test some of these gaps or fill some of these gaps to the downside. But for right now, this is what this is playing out like. This is, again, last week's kind of candle sitting on here, not really going anywhere, holding thus far exactly like we've been for an entire week. Q is very similar. So I'm just going to move over to the Qs. QQQ, exactly similar. Sideways for, 20 days, give or take. Here, this is something's brewing, but it's not going to, I don't think it's going to be this week. You could probably throw another set of condors on for the week and maybe take them down on Thursday. Because, like I said, as we get into non-farm payroll numbers, that's going to start changing considerably. This is just a weekly view. This is where we are. A bit of a little flag here. I don't know if I could really say that this is. I guess you could say this is kind of consolidating. But so far today, inside day, to say the least. Let's see, get to the daily view. Kind of banging our head up against that. So We'll see. And honestly, this is just not expecting a whole lot right now. This is 1-2. If we fail here, again, making that bigger pullback to kind of fill some of these downside gaps towards the 50-day. That downside gap on QQQ is 488. Really not that big of a pullback. That would just kind of come right back into this balance zone right in here, which I would really love to see. But no trade trigger just yet. Just testing these highs, man. Let me just turn on our NFP levels. Yeah. 521 has been kind of like that hard line in the sand so far. If you get over that, then you get that squeeze into that 525s, but it's got to be 514 has to hold. You lose 514, we go to 503. And there's some larger gaps to the downside, but 48 for now is a much better trade location if you're looking to buy the dip. Otherwise, there's no reason to sell either. So just kind of like stay the course. Let her cook, they say. Let her cook. Hood inclusion. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of speculation. Do you guys want to just move on to the tickers? Let's do that. And we'll call this one quick. So, yeah, just go ahead, drop some tickers if you want. Hoodie. I mean, they are definitely trading for this. It's Hood is acting differently than the rest. This right here, this is that 52-week high. You're right on it. 67 to me, which on a weekly perspective, again, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to assume that we're going to get into the S&P. I would love it, right? I would love it, but in all reality, I don't know that it happens. And even if it does happen, the other thing that's like in the back of my mind right now is like, it hasn't really been the best thing for companies to get in the S&P. Palantir kind of put a cap on it for a while, but slow grind, and they end up being dip buys. But it's still, the story doesn't change with or without the S&P on Hood for me. This is super long-term hold. If we get an extension, it's going to be in strength over the 67.19, which is that last week high. We have breached it twice now. What I'd want to see is a daily full candle open and close like that. And quite frankly, that's not going to happen, I don't think, without that type of a news event. And in the meantime, it's gotta be like fully opened over 67.20. Whole day trades over 67.20, and then we close above. It's such a tough spot where it's like, okay, even if that happens, that might be an anticipation candle of an S&P inclusion. But regardless, if it happens, yeah, I mean, this could be 80. I don't even know. But the chart says 85 very soon, sooner than later. Here's another spot. That initial IPO open, we're going way back in the Wayback Machine. This is also 67.15 right here. So again, that 67 area becomes a big deal area. Right now, this is the third attempt to break through that wall. The third real attempt. 1, 2, possibly 3. So it's looking like this. 1. Let me make these red candles. 1, 2, 3. The saying goes, there's no such thing as a triple top. Doesn't mean that this one has to be the one. This one can easily fail. What that means is that on the fourth attempt, it's very likely. But a third attempt failure could be a deeper failure that may set up for a bigger move. Or not. Maybe it's like into 65s. This thing has been so resilient though. I just hope that it's not resilient because people are expecting that S&P inclusion, but but my gut tells me they are. Big candles on this one, Palantir Friday at the close, like all of these, and just booming right through. So this is a big deal. We're going to open below, close above, maybe today. That 67 close is going to be a big deal. If we get a 67 open and continue on to the upside tomorrow, then for sure they are anticipating, and we could be in for a wild ride on hoodie, but not quite yet. Not quite yet, but it looks good. Looks good. Was Palantir 38? Oh, what was I thinking? Was it NASDAQ? Was it 38? I don't know. You guys would probably know better than me. I just remember CrowdStrike, and some of the others, they were just so heavily invested in already, and the anticipation was huge. I don't know that there's a lot of people anticipating hood. I think that a lot of the hoodies are, but the broader market participants, probably not. So, anyways, upside remains 85. Like, if this goes, regardless, I just can't believe it. This is such a crazy, crazy stock. I'm still not even thinking about selling it. All right. We did see a lot of Bucky, so I want to look at Bucky too. So I guess Snowflake has an event right now. Ooh, this looks like it's going. So keynotes tonight and tomorrow. 208, 225 is that real kind of area of interest next. So assuming Bucky holds 2, right, or 190, which it really has, post this earnings move, I mean, anything higher than 209, this thing can squeeze pretty quickly from here. Just going to do a quick check. Yeah, this would be 216s initially, 215s initially, and then 220, 225. We'll see if that works out, but that's what that initial impulse extension would be if Bucky does buck the trend and finally get out of this mucky mess that it's been in forever. Look at how big of a deal this is. I mean, congrats if you've hung in this long. I did not. I don't know this new guy either, so I don't have the same kind of faith I used to in the stock, but this thing, I mean, we'll just go from here. This is like 3 years of a base, but it's still not going to be out of it until it's over 230. Like, this is good. It's going higher. It probably goes, but this is the next stop right over here. What a chart. 2, maybe 3 year base on this guy right now. That's insane. But catalyst coming, good quarter. So I should expect the next 3 months actually to be pretty decent for Snowflake, assuming no hacks or anything like that, for sure. Boeing, this one's good. So Boeing just actually finally getting out. So today, Boeing, very good. If we have China deals, has anybody noticed like Trump's like de facto China negotiation? He wants to sell more Boeing planes, like wild. But today, full open out of this area. This looks very good. This was that center point of the larger, what we would call a broadening formation. If you didn't know, this was the broadening formation on Boeing. And it actually goes pretty high. And this is that center point. So today's probably the best looking candle I've seen in a very long time. That's tradable. You guys got me interested in this one. Hang on. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a quick volume. Ugh, I hate when this does that. So this point of control extends it a little bit. Let me just go ahead and make this completely horizontal. See if I see that across the board. Oh man, this is the level. Like the level. Breakdown here, explosion here, big explosion here, breakdown. Boys and girls, we have arrived. This is decision time. This is such a massive level for Boeing. I'm just not sure that it's going to take it out in 2 shots. Like 2 shots meaning 2 attempts. So right now, attempt 1, attempt 2. This may need like 3 or 4. This may need 4 shots. But this box down to 200, this looks really constructive. That 212.13, call it 213 to be safe. Massive pivot for Boeing. I think this is fine to continue to accumulate. I think this is going to be a long-term turnaround story, but yeah, this first day, extremely constructive, but a little bit higher still is what it needs. And it can pull down quite nice and still be completely valid. This one, you got to have some time on it, but near term, it looks good. We'll see. We any news catalyst will make this move really fast, but this is how TA works sometimes. It's very weird this way. But every time that Boeing has gotten around this price point, news catalysts seem to show up. Just what it is. Catalysts seem to show up whenever Boeing is at 212 and a half, give or take. Look at that. I'm staying the course, man. I'm not changing that, but that thing looks great. Palantir had a little bit of an extension last week. This, I believe, this blue box, yeah, this is that one big week. Not quite out of the weeds yet. So you'd need a daily open and close over 134 to really say this is out of the box. For right now, these blue lines is where it's staying. Weekly is constructive, but again, top of the range right here. You want a full day's clean trade up and over, something like that, to say this is ready. So you want to watch the open. You want to watch early trade. You could take it on the day that it opens over for sure, and then just kind of like make sure that it closes above, and you should be okay. NVDA, this was getting interesting. NVIDIA did the pullback after earnings, retraced all of the earnings gap here, and looks like it's back on its way. I think, dude, again, a lot of this very much looking like wait and see. Interesting here, 141 looks upside for this week. And that 135 area is going to be holding right now. So that's basically all of this right here, holding as your kind of like support level in the meantime. I'll have to ask Amit tomorrow, or actually no technical Tuesday tomorrow. He said that. I don't know who. Oh, he's traveling. We'll see. NVIDIA looks decent, 141 for the week, but not over that. And this isn't this weekly. Now that earnings is out of the way, you do want to be kind of like concerned here that this is still a thing. 141 is that exact level, right? So I'm not pressing bets on NVIDIA here. If it locks a new high, that's fine, but it's a little steep. It has pulled back, gave all of its earnings move back, and then kind of like starts consolidating here. I mean, it's known to do this. Earnings, well, no, that's a big pullback. I guess the last couple earnings, look, that's a couple moves, instant sell-off. This thing is sold off a lot the last few times it's reported, except for this one, which is the last big breakout one. So I would be concerned about that trend. The last 1, 2, 3 quarters, about this time, or NVIDIA has made a bit of a small push. So like here, right? Pop, and then just kind of bleeds out. That was from 135 to 105. I don't think we're going to see that again, but you do want to be cautious of that. And then here, little pop, small bleed out, and chop. This one, same. None of these are looking exactly like this as we're holding where we were coming from. Like NVIDIA candle here would actually look more like this right now. So that's doesn't look like it's selling off yet. But I would want to give this one a little bit to stew for sure. It's kind of right at that balance area. As long as holding 135, you're okay. But if you lose 135, then I would actually be concerned more for like 115s if that concerns you. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. The QQQ equivalent for the UK, I don't know. QQQ, again, it's at the highs. Yeah, this weekly is a little. I don't know. It's not a short, but it's very difficult for me to kind of press new longs this week. Maybe next week for sure, but more like this week. This week, I'm gonna take a breather. Tempest had a kind of a breakthrough thing this morning. If you don't follow, I did have my buddy. I saw my buddy post something here. It was Shay posted. Shay. Tempest. Oh, he's all over this right now. Here, launching immunotherapy. I don't know how to pronounce this. Assay, embedding AI agents into hospital. I think this is databases. So basically, kind of like being able to test all of these kind of variables at the hospital, becoming an AI operating layer for healthcare. It's possible. I don't know that I could. Someone asked, "Is this Palantir for healthcare?" I was like, I don't know. There's so much HIPAA compliance and all that kind of stuff. It's not my space. I don't know. Do a quick time check. All right. Yeah, Boeing guys, this looks good. I'm gonna actually let me go back to this. This is 63.97 continues to be the big pivot. Literally this penny. 63.97, 63.97, 63.97 for Tempest. Technically, it's where it was breaking down, where it broke down. It just retested the breakdown. I don't know. Like, I think you need to wait a little bit more. Like, it's crazy that it's up so much, but it's just right back to resistance. If you see it pushing through this level in force, you typically get a very quick, like, extra $5, which could happen. But again, that's that next level, just under 69. That has been like major overhead resistance. So after a huge move like that this morning, I kind of just wait. You could take that little trade, but that's the next level, 60, just under 69, and you really want to see it hold for actual continuation. Reddit, super constructive actually. So this little white box I was kind of looking at as a bit of a liquidity grab into support down here, kind of holding outside, not seeing the strength. So I want to see a little bit more aggression from the bulls. This is the next area. So as long as it holds here, yes, that's good, but it's not necessarily enough. Although, I mean, this is where it gets real squeezy too. Another growth name, definitely comfortably over its 20 and 50 day now. That squeeze would take it to like 120 one more time, at which case it would probably stop again, while it continues to kind of build a bit of an investor base, if there's going to be an investor base. But this looks like, yeah, you have another move coming to the 120s, low 120s, and then you got to stop. You got to stop, as in, like, from a trader perspective, you have to take all of your initial capital out and then also some profit, and maybe you can hold it and see if it has any legs, but just a little bit early, for now. Or you build in some longer term position that's like multi months, 6 to 9 months kind of out, which this looks like eventually it's going to get there, and you're really trading for that 150 kind of area. But patience is in order here for sure. Tessie, this is a dangerous one. 350 was kind of my level before that it needed to hold. It lost that early. Late last week, it lost that. 355 is where it was kind of like triggering upside for the week. I would have been okay if this stayed kind of down. Here's a weekly view, and this is kind of my point. It's a dangerous trade for me in terms of, like, I would, with all the catalysts in my mind that Tessie has available, that actually could make it a bit of a dangerous situation, just because I could get a little overly bulled up on Tesla, without having the price action really support it. So this is that kind of like breakout week here. 350, 351, I believe. 352 is the high end of the week. We lost that, maybe 355. We'd lost that early. Now this little box here, these 3 weekly candles are the issue. These don't trigger downside until you're below 330. For now, if you are looking downside, it looks like it's mostly over. 325 at most, for a day trade type of situation. But you want to be cautious of, like, this could come in, go sideways, and then you could have a little bit of a pop. This is what that is going to look like, which kind of sets up for a bit of a you hate to say it, head and shoulders, and then a downside move if that happens, or if this head and shoulders fails, back to the upside. But net, I do think that this looks pretty choppy for another month or so. That said, there are catalysts, and this is why I was like, Tesla could be a dangerous trade, because I could be overly convicted. When is Robotaxi day? Somebody tell me in the chat. Nothing, Burger Pal. Thank you. Resignation rumors. Who's doing resignation rumors? What is Robotaxi day? Come on, Grok. Don't fail me now. August 8th. Oh, it's in my backyard. Should I go? I should go. Wait, no. $20.25 has been associated. Da, da, da. When is it? That's not my zip code. So June 12th. Thank you, guys. Why does Grok suck? Why does it not say? Is it not official? Did anybody get their invite for Robotaxi Day? It's in Austin. Yeah. What happened last year? Was it last year Robotaxi was 9.9 and then 10.10? Yeah, Grok definitely failed, guys. But Robotaxi was pushed out, and then Tesla stock took a nosedive. I know June 12th is official. It was official 9/9 last year, but nobody got their invites. So I gotta ask Vishal Stock Talk if you or whoever. Ask your friends, anybody that got an invite last year to Robotaxi Day, if they got their Robotaxi Day. Let's see. Tesla Robotaxi Day tickets. I don't know. This is. I remember this. Where like they had. You couldn't buy the tickets. Investor relations. I can't. How do I search on here? Anyways, when the tickets go out, then it's going to be official. Otherwise, I'm not so sure. And the chart is telling me, wait. Chart's telling me, wait. So like Elon's back to Tesla, Robotaxi Day, June 12th, official, right? I could get really overly convicted on this trade, and I mean easily. I could have up here. I didn't, just because I'm like, I gotta wait. I gotta wait and see. So I'm not taking the next shot just yet. It's possible that Tessie takes a little bit of another dipper into this. This is where I would look to 320 area. Then I would probably look for it to kind of go sideways or maybe build. But from an equity perspective, nothing changed here. Buy little bits on dips if you have it. But from an options perspective, it's too early to take the shot. It's too early to take the shot, even though we got Robotaxi Day on June 12th, even though we got Elon coming back, price actions not supporting it yet. Just remember, there's a catalyst there. So when price action does support it, we will take the shot, but not until then. All right. Tigers wants to do DraftKings. So look, NBA Finals. We got MLB happening, Major League Baseball. Robinhood is creating a freaking frenzy over here in California where we cannot do anything. Yeah, so that was the issue. I don't think there's a ticket for, I don't know. DraftKings makes a lot of sense, right? It's sports season. We don't even have football yet. My only question is like, would you rather DraftKings or Robinhood or FanDuel or I don't know, Win or like MGM? It's okay. What's Flutter? Flutter is FanDuel. This thing barely moves, but also kind of stuck in the mud here. $33, dude. I gotta be honest. This is clearly a bad day. Why is it down so much? Was there news? Fall. How new Illinois tax is a Barron's article. Okay. So it would only be one state. So that I don't think, if that's the catalyst, I don't think that fall would hold. Maybe it continues for the day. But net, I think I don't think they're going anywhere, man. If you get in, this is that trade war zone too. It just lost that. Look, this is a stock where like, this is the trade war zone. $35. I feel like DraftKings should be like 45. I hate to say it. Even with everything. Maybe it gets into the low 30s and it's worth a shot. But it's a small dollar stock. It's not super interesting to me, quite frankly. If you own DraftKings, this is probably another one of your 10 bagger, 10-year type sit on and wait, do nothing shot, quite frankly. What's my opinion on the Bezos chart? I mean, it's holding. It got that sub 200. Bezos chart looks now much better. I don't know. I want to know when Bezos is selling or if he's done selling. Yeah, this is tough. I mean, you could look at this initially and be like, oh, it's going up, but it's right at that balance zone right here. So this is that big weekend gap. Whole stock market did. Amazon was the first of them to start kind of like showing in easy, like immediately signs of weakness. 215. So this is where the stock market was 565. Stock market was 565. SPY. Amazon 194. Firmly in the trade war zone. This pullback to 195, probably solid, and good enough of a pullback in my mind. I don't know that I would add here either, though. It is looking like it's going to squeeze, but the trade, it's right here. So these SMAs are really tight. This is one of those situations where it could look like this and then whoosh, and that be your better buy. It could even look like that because things get real choppy right around the 200 days. Like this is exactly what I'm talking about. That red line looks whoosh and then back and then whoosh, and then you get a direction. But a lot of times you get stuck like this right on that 200. And then you're below it and it finally gets back above. You think it's all good, and then it just flushes back below. I don't think that that's going to be the setup here now. I think it's more something like, God, when was the last time we saw a setup like that on Amazon? This is the last time we saw a setup like that, where it's all below and we're kind of like both the 20 and 50 are slowly coming back above. It looked good back below, just chopping. I think ultimately this resolves, but I don't think there's a whole lot of things to do right now. You know, it's funny. You guys remember that at the stock market, you know, the gold, the death cross. I see this all the time. This was the death cross on Amazon right here when the blue line crosses below the red line. They're like, oh, the market's falling. It was like literally the worst time to sell. Literally the worst time to sell. If we get the golden cross, which is the blue going back over the red, I don't know. That's right here. We shall see. We shall see. It's a tough one. Trade location tough. I like Amazon though. And again, if it gets, I think the tariff situation weighs heavy on Amazon, but ultimately later on it'll probably resolve. Meta broke monthly high, did it? Yeah, Meta was looking good. Boom. There it is. Broken. Finally. Breaks out. That looks decent. So from a weekly perspective, you are breaking. Where does that take you? 681. 681 on Meta. Sorry, I'm not going to give you a bigger target. That's what it is. But keep it realistic. That's why you don't go shooting yourself in the foot. 681 on Meta for the extension. That's a good $20 though, 15, $20. And then stop because you have this area to deal with. That's tradable though for the rest of the week, as long as it holds. That looks good. I think, yeah. No big deal. But that's a big break, live break. QBTS? I don't probably. Oh, you're in the meta trade. Nice. I don't honestly, I don't have, this is too much in the weeds for me, man, to know. But yeah, that looks live. Meta's live. I'll do a good old GE just for yeah. Meta looks like the best live trade. GE is just don't ever sell this thing. It's going. I don't know what to say. All-time highs in play. But Meta is a live trade for sure. I don't know if it's news driven or not. 381 for the week. This is a very small perspective. Let me just see, what is the daily range? Oh, you're already above a daily range. So I'd say if this is holding for the week, 660s. Looks like it just squeezed. You're in an active move now. That's fine. If it pulls back, it might be 660 for a retest. But all right, guys, that's it for now. I'm going to call it. I do not believe we have Technical Tuesday this week. So I will see you on Spaces and I'll see you in the server. So until then, adios, trade safe, and have a good one.